3, 2, 1.
I started off thinking about art forms as all about diversity. There's printmaking, there's painting, there's writing, there's performance art. From there it went to the idea about the tapestry. Warp and Weft being about the tapestry of humanity. Every thread, every stitch matters. If one's out of place, then it unravels.
They'd already had the idea for the show, but they basically asked a bunch of like the kind of the queer leaders in our area who they thought should be a part of it, and my name got brought up somehow. I came out as trans last March, back in 2021, and had to like completely teach myself how to speak again, and then how to sing again, and then like started writing songs like after that process, which took like almost the entire year, which was surprisingly fast for me.
Genderless god of sod and sand, I hold in my hand your silken sinew, or so I pretend. You told me your orchard was thirsty, and I drank the whole well. I uprooted your fruits and set fire to hell. Every time I see water, I know she's my father, caught in a genderless spell. Every time I bleed flame, which god do I blame? I can hardly ever tell. Now I need you to understand that the earth is more than sod and sand, and fire and water. Had a daughter, and my name is Man.
For me, it's really about like tying my experience to the sense of place that the Ozarks and this area is. I work really well in groups and have a lot of that kind of experience, queer events, and a lot of work with activism. But this, I think, was the first thing that was like so collaborative that as an art form.
My right arm untwisted as I raised up the sun. We pointed where to go, open space. Lost an eye, but gained a mind. Not estranged, just strange. A tongue like a tombstone and silk from my lips marks the spot I devour the pain of my ancestors, producing just enough light to show something beautiful.
As I spent time with Pat, I learned a little bit about more positive masculine energy. And in my poem, my right arm untwisted as I raised up the sun, it was talking about I felt like more balanced by spending time with a person who had a different energy than me, and learning that that energy is something that is good to have.
The performance that we're about to give, they're very emotional. They mean a lot to us. They come from very somewhat traumatic places. They come from things that are difficult in our lives. And for us to be able to even say that aloud in front of other people can be difficult.
The beautiful thing about it for me is that the organic nature of what happened was quite amazing. I really found myself in awe whenever we would start putting these things together and we would hear somebody's piece and go, oh my God, this piece is so moving. And we'd all talk about all the different ways, right? What happened is that it created this reverence in the room, this respect for, here I am, a dozen other artists or whatever, and I needed to not step on that person's toe. And the other person didn't want to step on your toe either, so we were all in the same boat, and we're all, it's vulnerable things that we're doing here, and the fact that we are actively figuring it out on the fly like that makes it even more vulnerable. So that was the process that to me was just amazing.
And so if you would, and if you can bear with this, just hold your applause. There's no applause needed, it's fine. We all know that we're good. At the end, we'll all have a jubilant applause and we'll dance and be merry and it will be lovely, I promise. All right, well, here we go. Down this hallway, find yourself a seat. Thank you so much.
This is for the yes, the tireless, the activist, who worked for decades to say, yes, we exist, who said, yes, hide if you need to, but no, the more people say, yes, we exist, not some marble to be balanced on someone else's religion, not some sideshow in San Francisco. It's your mother, your brother, the son you thought was a daughter, the full spectrum of humanity, the whole rainbow. It's the yes! Yes! Activist, worked for decades to say knowledge builds on knowledge until yes is an exponent. Like when POTUS rainbow lit the White House because SCOTUS finally said yes! Yes! We exist! We will not be shat upon! some marble balanced on someone else's religion. We are human. So, we pop the cork and bubble a party while keeping in mind the fight isn't over until every human is free to exist. Yes, free to express our gender, but also free to have control of your own uterus. Free to use the sidewalk without being catcalled. Free to take a living wage for a full week's work and equal pay for equal work. Free to feel protected instead of hunted by uniforms that are blue, no matter the color of your skin. Free to breathe air that won't cause asthma. Drink water that won't fill your blood with lead. Free to move about the world and share in the world's bounty, no matter where in the world you were born. Yes!
Yes!
There is work to be done. But progress is real and magical. Today is real. So, we pop the cork. We bubble a party. And together, we all say, yes!
As often the case with very large groups, it started out very small and then grew and then was so chaotic for a moment, it was like, I don't know that this can continue. And then quite suddenly, it all came into focus. It's a bunch of queer folks, and we think queer folks doing art together is kind of what we've wanted to do our whole lives. So let's do this. Like many academic poets, I was a snob about it. I'm like, let the words do the work. I'm not going to learn to perform. Let the words do the work, which is absurd. No other artist does that, right? You don't hear you never hear a chef go, let the flavors do the work. It doesn't matter how it's presented.
my performance work, whether or not it is visibly categorizable as Buto, is coming from that foundation. I hope to show up fully, do my best to show up fully, and I feel like truth met with open-heartedness yields warmth.
They burned us and we became biochar, feeding the forest of the future, a future of blossoming queer, of frolicking fearlessness. Their abuse felled our weakest trunks, letting light through, beckoning laughter from the forest floor. Our joy went anaerobic, smothered by your God. Blight consumed our bodies and you told us to pray. But like mycelial solidarity, we did not obey. We danced away the pain of growing, like little bluestem in the wind. Our souls became rich with carbon, and our roots sank deep into the envy of Eden's garden. I was birthed into this season. The redbuds bloomed the day he made my soil smile. The sun first graced the leaves of the dogwood trees, emerging from their slumber, when I asked for the number of times he's dreamt of knowing what the moon meant, why the moss in the dark felt like erasing my scars, scrubbing them clean in an Ozark spring, or of the way he looks at me. The spice bush droops bloomed from flowers to fruits by the time I knew his cadence. My love grew in the dark, like a pawpaw patch, waiting for the shade to pass, for an opening in the old growth. My love grew in the dark, feeding on the biochar of long-burned beings, waiting for an opening in the canopy.
I'm an ecologist, and so like I spend a lot of time in the woods and like knowing plants and their habits and how they interact with the ecosystem. And so I wanted to tie that in to a poem in a way that I hadn't before. Compare that to like the queer liberation movement, where it's like we had our elders that, you know, fought and died and like went through all this hardship. The ecosystem changes, and like certain plants, they like die and build up like organic matter in the soil to a point where then it can like flourish, and you have this like biodiversity that I think is a good, you know, metaphor.
Where I'm from, 20,000 eardrums are still shattered from the day the last train carried the economy away. Holy Parsons is making out of the door and neglecting to charge covers. A boomer at the bar who remembers when a band could get away with knocking a man's teeth out. Instead, blows smoke in the face of a coughing millennium. In Holy Parsons, Bud Light is fancier than Natty Light. Nutrition is for sissies, excuse me, but sissies are welcome here because Jesus is Lord and the Lord is fucked up as we are. Holy Parsons is curious about where you're from. Are we cousin enough to share the great grandma whose brothel was born again on Craigslist? Holy Parsons had too much to drink and repeats itself had too much to drink. And that's how we connect. Everything is connected, says the shaman whose eyes refuse to focus as he looks right through me. Holy Parsons is part alcohol and part meth. One tweaking bartender tells the other, I haven't eaten tonight, need to go home. The other silences his fuck you and wipes down the bar. In Holy Parsons, a man who fancies himself the most enlightened man around grabbed his daughter by the hair and put her on the ground. Which is why, in Holy Parsons, into a microphone is popular music. But Holy Parsons is an art bomb. When a drum explodes under two guitars as a singer lifts a poem to heaven, and when the last tweaking bartender switches on the light, the crowd rushes stageward, offering beer and weed and hugs, everything they have, to a band of traveling artists.
Not being able to applaud meant that the audience was sort of sitting forward and they had a tension. There was a tension throughout the room where they wanted to applaud or laugh or cry, and yet they were trying not to. And that was very much what we wanted. They were all connected to one another as they were connected to us.
This is the story of a lamp. The lamp awakens as the sun sets, acting like a replacement bird hired to maintain the nest. The nest being a space occupied by a sleeping bird whose mother set off without saying a word. But like a sentinel, the lamp remains tall throughout the night, maintaining the nest, on the lookout for things out of sight, these things unseen to the human eye, as everything is silhouetted by the moonlit sky. And the sleeping bird pays no mind to the noble lamp standing guard. Instead, she dreams of a world where she isn't so marred. You see, the bird had a scar above her right eye, which she was tormented for constantly by her mother in the sky. And the lamp bore witness to this mother's abuse. She says it because she loves me, was the sleeping bird's excuse. And this excuse was one that the lamp heard many times, just never spoke up, only observed from the sidelines. If the lamp were to confess its admiration for the bird, its flattering remarks would remain unheard. You see, the bird was too busy chasing the warmth of the sun, and the lamp threw in the towel knowing that that sun had already won. In comparison to the sun, the lamp is pathetic. As helpful as the lamp is, the sun is more majestic. The sun radiates light, heat, and love. And the lamp can't even compare to its competition above. The lamp gave off an artificial light. A light that is not warm, but more so a soft white. A light that is limited no matter the lamp's might. A light that can't compare to any sun in sight. A light that doesn't understand how to be right. Because soon that sun will return from its unknown quest, leaving this lamp to retreat into a days-long rest. A rest most likely riddled with thoughts of that sleeping bird, and how the lamp could never provide her with what she truly deserved. The lamp sat solemnly, looking down on its cable, fully aware that it is damaged, unstable, it's frayed at the end, and it's nearly broken. But the lamp remains silent, for now the bird has awoken. And the bird chirped with glee as the sun came into view, while the lamp remained hopeless, knowing my light would never be true.
Skylar did her first song, and it had me in my feelings. I was already tearing up, and then I went up and I did my poem, and I was like actually hearing myself say it, and I ended up crying while performing it, and then I couldn't catch my breath, and then I was ugly crying later, and I had to leave because it was just too emotional for me. It was just very intense for me to like be this emotionally vulnerable and feel safe to do so in this space.
Under the pillow, it's soft as a midnight airplane ride of the Boston mountains. Under two pillows, it's secret like the year Uncle Shadow came into your bedroom. Under three pillows, it's safe. Like pot pies in the oven. Pot pies smell like 35 cents at Walmart. Mama put them there, but then the boss came home. His step heavy, was not a good day. What? He said. I spent all day busting my ass while you get fat. Is a good meal too much to ask? You're about to piss me off. And under the pillow, I transformed. My arms got longer, my legs got thinner, my body stretched. Don't you hit her now! Don't you hit her now, old man! Don't you hit her now! Don't you hit her now! No! I'm only 5 years old, but you can't hold me back. Only 4 foot tall, but you can't hold me back. I'm a G-Man, He-Man, X-Man, G.I. Joe man. You can't hold me back. Don't you hit her now. Don't you hit her now. No. Under the pillow, I sat naked. My eyes were closed and my vision was black. But slowly at first, and then with intensity, I began to see yellow clouds sprinkled with red tingles. The tingles turned white until the sky was a perfect sphere of stars. Above me, a pulsar shot X-rays, casting my bone shadow onto a solar system-sized pool of darkness, surrounded by a hurricane cloud of hydrogen. A great column of radiation shot from the center as I free fell into a black hole, an object in space with so much gravity. It pulls space and time with it as it spins, and from its grasp, nothing can escape, not even light. My arms got longer, my legs got thinner, my body stretched, and as time ticked to a standstill, I realized that only here, in this spaghetti string of space-time, was it safe to open my eyes. And then I heard glass break. Thunder in the kitchen. Demons screaming. A human body hit the wall. Don't you hit her now. Don't you hit her now, old man. Don't you hit her now. Don't you hit her now. No. I'm only 9 years old, but you can't hold me back. I'm only 5 foot tall, but you can't hold me back. I'm a G-Man, He-Man, X-Man, G.I. Joe man. You can't hold me back. I'm a screaming demon, green machine gun. You can't hold me back. Don't you hit her now. Don't you hit her now. No, under the pillow. But under the pillow, it's okay. Because I'll be big too, someday. Movement, gay. Acid yellow moon on an acid purple sky. Told me if I bang up my arms and I can fly. Jumped off the bridge, flew straight down. Didn't fly too well, or swim too well to drown. Acid yellow moon on an acid purple sky. Told me if I didn't get to shore, then I would die. Swam around in circles till my face grew fuzz. Didn't quite figure out where the shore was. Acid yellow moon on an acid purple sky. Swung around Polaris in a circle made of fire. Carried me to shore when the stars began to fall. My eyes grew wide and my ego grew small. I walked up the inside wall of my skull and looked back inside to see if it was full. I was living with a man who promised me his hand. Instead, he gave a candy kid a raper flavored blow jam, hanging at the club, giving me the snub. Not this time. No siree, bub. I got a ticket full of music and a Buick full of gas. I'm going down to Hog Ridge to liquefy my ass. But dumb enough to buy a bunch of caffeinated pills. Friend at the fire pit, I told him all my ills. He said, that's no reason to crawl around bawling. Take one of these and don't bother calling. I walked up the inside wall of my skull, saw the acid yellow moon, acid yellow full, ravers blowing bubbles, hippies blowing sage, music making orbits on the candy-coated stage. The moon burned a hole in the sky when it spoke. It said, look here, mortal, you don't have to croak to know that you're a bubble in the universal flow. All you really have to know is how to let go. Everything you're going through was already gone through 1 billion times before you by people just like you. As part of the divine, it's impossible to fail. So you will prevail. Acid yellow moon on an acid purple sky, clouded into pink when the dawn began to fly. I gathered up my friends, we all smoked high. And thank the setting moon for enlivening all our minds.
I don't know, like coming in and getting to be in a community space, also making something together has been really beautiful. But I think also all of the different pieces that each poet, each artist has brought, like going from Deanna's piece, it's like so heavy. Like each artist I feel like has taken some of the, and all of Skylar's pieces, like they've taken some of the most, horrible or dark places that maybe that you could go through, and they've made it into art and like created all of this beauty, and then also a community as a side effect of like coming together.
Soft lips brush against mine. Her touch is gentle and divine. I slowly close my eyes and feel the outward breath of sin's disguise. I'd gladly revoke the pearly gates if this is how damnation tastes. Sweeter than an apple, a fig wrapped in leaves. I'd take any fruit from Eve. Holy, holy is your name on high. I sigh as your hand gently runs across my thigh. And when I lay me down to sleep, with nothing of this world to keep, I pray the rapture leaves me here so that her arms can hold me near.
Hopefully nobody could tell, but I was more nervous than I've ever been in my life.
You cannot tell.
Good. This is the first time I've ever done anything like this, so it was really nerve-wracking. But as soon as I heard the first like little chuckle, I was like, "Ooh, I got this." So it was good. It was good. I think there's a lot to be said for like representation and just feeling not alone. Like, I'm allowed to feel this feeling, and this is not weird. And it's definitely that's the feeling that that's the reason I wrote this poem. Is I grew up really super religious, and just like realizing my sexuality was a whole journey in itself, and then after that being like, okay, I'm not sinning, I'm not gonna go to hell, and then just kind of coming out of that and embracing the sin.
in the street? Have you ever been hated for no reason when you never hurt anybody? You never hurt anybody. You never hurt anybody. Have you ever cried when you saw yourself inside the mirror? Because you finally look the way you always looked. Or at least you see the possibility of the person you were meant to be for the first time. You love yourself for the first time. You love yourself for the first time. You love yourself. Because it's the joy of the sunrise, it's the laughter rain, it's the happiness we'll finally feel for a lifetime of pain. It's the love of friends that shows you never know it's there. Of the journey home. To the trans youth of America, your gender is like your body. It's yours. To hide if necessary, or to flex. The answer isn't always obvious, because you're human. You're more complex. When bigots leave themselves to understand, they want to recreate a world where women served, POCs were banned, and rainbow folk were closeted for good. Or so the bullies thought, but they were wrong. The world is singing